I've had a crush on the uncle for 9 years, tortured day and night by the judgmental eyes of the world. Last week I confessed to him, but he rejected me. This week, he brought a new girlfriend to my family's dinner gathering. When he went to the bathroom, I cornered him alone and asked, "Did you find a girlfriend just to make me give up?" He replied calmly, "Because I was feeling empty." My crush on Lung Yongyeon started in my freshman year of college. Back then, he was 35, single and free-spirited, carrying a camera everywhere, traveling north and south, capturing one stunning photo after another that earned him widespread admiration. I was also studying photography, and had heard some of his legendary stories, which filled me with admiration. I wanted to apprentice under him, but didn't dare say it outright, afraid he'd think I was trying to tie him down with personal favors. So, I could only use the dumbest method, bringing my camera to him whenever I had free time. He rarely paid me any mind. Most of the time, I was just talking to myself, amusing myself alone. After 3 months of this, I must have said something that finally clicked, because he finally started discussing photography with me. But that day, he seemed to be in a bad mood, eyelids lowered, expression distant. The cold white light overhead fell on his sharply defined face, making him radiate a kind of charm polished by time, as if his past were filled with untold stories. Somehow, I was deeply drawn in, sinking deeper step by step. After that, I genuinely fell in love with photography, immersing myself in studying it, walking the paths he had walked, seeing the sights he had seen. Even without natural talent, I persisted relentlessly. He never praised me, nor did he acknowledge our master-disciple relationship, but he did start talking to me more. Those shared conversations were hard-earned, and I treasured them dearly. But not long after, he suddenly gave up photography and switched to business, the reasons unknown. "It's such a shame to see you tainted by the pursuit of money." My dad sighed deeply when he heard the news, chattering with Liang Yuan for a long time. Liang Yuan turned to look at me, his gaze calm and steady. "Shan has talent. On this path she should go further than I did." I was overwhelmed by the unexpected praise, my heart racing, unable to suppress the smile tugging at my lips. Back then, I truly thought I had a chance. Then why couldn't it be me? I could also. My emotions started to spiral out of control. I was the one who had spent the most time by his side all these years. I was the one who cared about him the most. So why, while I was waiting for him, did he choose to love someone else? Before I could finish, my dad emerged from around the corner of the stairs, his face dark. "Liang Yuan, you should leave. I have family matters to handle. Outsiders shouldn't be here." I looked at Liang Yuan pleadingly, not out of fear, but hoping he would say something. Defend me. Scold me. Anything. Just participate, so my feelings wouldn't turn into a complete one-sided act. But he didn't even glance at me. Holding his newly arrived girlfriend's hand, he left without looking back. My dad was so angry his face trembled. "Get rid of those disgusting thoughts of yours. I'm not dead yet." I had no defense but refused to admit I was wrong. My dad pulled out his belt, ready to hit me. At that critical moment, there was an urgent knock on the door, so forceful it felt like they wanted to kick it down. My heart clenched and I eagerly rushed to open the door. But it wasn't him. Disappointment surged through me like turbulent waves, one after another. It was a client my dad had been struggling to win over, here to discuss a partnership. Was this coincidence, or was there deliberate arrangement behind it? I carefully clung to a faint sliver of hope, trying to find some evidence to convince myself. Before leaving, my dad sternly warned me, "Save some face for everyone, understand?" Yes, they all want to save face. Only I, with my self-respect shattered beneath genuine feelings, was left ignored. That night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep, constantly sifting through the past for clues. It was too painful, so I put on some party makeup and went out. In a lively place, loneliness feels less terrifying. But I never expected to run into Liang Yun so coincidentally. At the entrance of the bar, he blocked my way, a cigarette in his mouth, his pale face looking particularly cold under the lights, his tone lazy. "It's too late. Go home." "Sorry, I don't know you. Please move aside." I clenched my teeth, resentment boiling inside me. A 40-year-old man staying up this late. He'll go bald sooner or later. With that, I tried to walk past him into the bar. He took a step back, still blocking me. This time, he was closer, and I could clearly smell the faint scent of alcohol on him. I knew he rarely drank. So, what was he upset about now? Liang Yuan took a drag of his cigarette, squinting slightly in the ashy smoke, exuding a kind of decadent beauty. The next moment he moved closer, his breath warm against my ear. How do you coax a kid throwing a tantrum? My mind went blank. It took me a moment to recover, and I quickly looked away, steadying myself. Liang Yuan, what are you doing? Don't mess with my emotions over and over. He scoffed, anger rare in his voice. Xishan, society is dangerous. Don't fill your head with nothing but love. When Liang Yuan was a photographer, he carried an unmistakable sharp, cold intensity. A single look could silence anyone. In others' eyes, he was danger itself. But over the years in business, he had become gentle and introverted, rarely showing any hostility. Though still quiet, he was tolerant and easygoing with people and things, never losing his composure like he did today, almost pestering relentlessly. After hesitating, I couldn't help but ask, "Do you care about me?" Maybe it was my imagination, but I thought I saw a flicker of panic in his eyes. Don't overthink it. I'm your elder. He reached out with his other hand and ruffled my hair, playing the part of an elder comforting a foolish youngster. Oh, I wasn't grateful. I pried his fingers off one by one, squeezing the words through my teeth. I'm full of nothing but love. You should stay away from me. I might cling to you. The words "cling to you" seemed to scare him. This time, he didn't say anything else. Just glanced coldly at the street scene, letting me go. The lights flickered dim and uncertain, the music deafening. I sat at the bar, drinking one glass after another. By the time I left, I was a little drunk, my movements uncoordinated. I stumbled at the entrance and fell into a man's arms. Before I could react, I was quickly pulled away by another force. I opened my eyes wide, and in my blurred vision, a figure looked particularly familiar, though I couldn't immediately recognize who it was. I couldn't help but want to get closer, even closer. That person's breathing grew heavy, his voice hoarse. Don't move around. Then, will you be my boyfriend? I hooked my finger under his chin and unexpectedly leaned in, a brief touch before pulling away. Even if it's just for a day. I've liked you for so many years. Will you be my boyfriend for just one day, please? What happened after that is hazy in my memory, but deep down, I've always believed it was Liang Yuan. When I woke up the next morning, I was in a hotel room's large bed. Rubbing my throbbing head, still not fully awake, I heard a male voice. You're awake. Liang Yuan. I sat up at the sound of my name but froze completely when I saw the person. It wasn't Liang Yuan. It was a strange young man. My heart sank, my fingertips trembling. Last night, was it you? I couldn't finish the sentence. He handed me a bottle of water. You drank a lot last night and threw up several times. Have some water first. It'll make you feel better. Even as I left the hotel, I was still in a daze. Last night's events felt like an unrealistic dream. Was I really that desperate for Liang Yuan? Let me take you back? The boy who had been quietly following me rushed over to steady me when I almost tripped on the stairs. I quickly avoided his touch, alertly scanning the faces around me. No, you. Stop following me. He understood that I was afraid of being seen and didn't say anything else, taking a step back to keep his distance. As my panic subsided a little, I quickened my pace toward the roadside. Only when I was about to get into the car did I dare take a quick look at the boy's face. Elegant features, lean and simple. Sigh, I inexplicably felt a sense of guilt, as if I had wronged a good kid. When I reached home, I realized I had lost my keys. I couldn't get in, and no one answered the door. So I had no choice but to stare blankly on the flower bed downstairs. I don't know how long passed before a shadow fell over me from above. I looked up blankly. The sunlight was glaring, but the person's outline is deep, with high brow bones, eyes slightly squinting, creating a few wrinkles that gave him an unreal tender affection. For a long moment I couldn't speak, just staying in a daze, keeping my head tilted up, immersed in my own world. When I finally regained my senses, he had already bent down to eye level, reaching out to check my forehead temperature. What's wrong? Not feeling well? Those few words almost made me cry. No. Liang Yuan paused. Take care of your health. Don't stay up late or drink. I perfunctorily agreed, not wanting to say anything more. But he just ignored my coldness, even sitting down next to me. I had lunch with your parents and just dropped them off. Your dad isn't angry with you anymore. I explained everything to him. My breath hitched. Oh, really? What did you say? That I was clingy. And you were just sticking to your principles. And then coax him with a few orders. He smiled, as if not noticing my sarcasm. After sitting for a while longer, he let out an almost inaudible sigh, stood up and said goodbye. Go upstairs soon. It's hot down here. For some reason, those words felt particularly sad. I really wanted to grab his hand and ask him to stay with me a little longer. But thinking about what happened last night, I couldn't bring myself to speak. After an internal struggle, driven by a sudden impulse, I trotted after him. Uncle Yang, I won't be willful anymore. I hadn't called him uncle in years. It was either master or secretly Liang Yuan. I think he understood what those words meant. I won't be willful anymore. I won't hide my feelings from everyone. Secretly loving you. I won't chase after an unreachable moon anymore, traveling thousands of miles for nothing. I won't carry this heavy burden on a journey with no end. I'll let you go, and I'll let myself go too. Liang Yuan's thin shoulders tensed up, faintly letting out an N, before quickening his pace to leave. Soon, his figure completely walked out of my sight. In that instant, everything around me seemed to lose its color in his absence. The world felt boring and dull. Back home, I wanted to immediately hide in my room, but my mum stopped me. Why didn't you come home last night? I forced a stiff smile. I was out with friends, having too much fun and lost track of time. She seemed to want to say more but hesitated, eventually just patting my shoulder without questioning. During dinner with the family, I continued to act as if nothing had happened. Everything is calm. My dad suddenly assumed the role of the head of the household, announcing in a tone that brooked no argument. Dress nicely tomorrow. You're coming with me to a dinner. My friend's son is very impressive. My hand froze mid-air as I was about to pick up food. My dad continued. Shishan, it's time you grew up. Yeah, grow up. I can't really live my life as a joke. How disappointed must they be? They just want me to live peacefully, following the rules, in an unpredictable future. I continued eating calmly, not even bothering to show a hint of superfluous emotion. Sure, the blind date didn't go well. There were two things that made it impossible for me to keep pretending to be cultured and graceful in that private room any longer. The guy my dad introduced me to, Xu Ying, was the boy from the hotel that day. Even more bizarrely, the real matchmaker for this blind date was Liang Yuan. After storming out of the room in front of everyone, I immediately took out my phone, found Liang Yuan's number, and called him. The ringing tone felt like thorns piercing and unbearable. Finally, the ringing stopped and the call connected. I blurted out, Liang Yuan, where are you? I need to see you now, right away. There was a moment of silence before a gentle, soft female voice spoke. Don't worry. What's wrong? Yuan is in the restroom right now. I'll pass on your message. My heart sank instantly, and a chill spread through my entire body. I had to lean against the wall, gasping for breath. After a while, I managed to utter a weak voice. It's nothing. I hung up and then turned off my phone. Whether it was a coincidence or a deliberate arrangement at this moment, nothing mattered anymore. Futile. My legs trembling, I walked out of the restaurant and followed the flow of the crowd. When I finally stopped, I looked up and met a pair of gentle, sparkling eyes. His fair, handsome face was filled with concern. His thin lips pressed into a tight line. Did I say something wrong? He asked. It wasn't him, it was his father who mentioned Liang Yuan. His father said, Liang Yuan rarely praises anyone. Since he spoke so highly of you, he must be right. Leaning against a pillar by the roadside, I tried to cover up my unease with a relaxed tone. How did Liang Yuan praise me? Do you know? Xu Ying replied cautiously, probably thinking I was a moody, overly sensitive weirdo in his eyes. Uncle Liang said you're smart, beautiful and a very decisive girl. I burst into laughter, bending over as I asked, "Then do you think I am?" He fell silent, a hidden light flickering in his eyes. When I stopped laughing, he finally spoke. "Shishan, I want to get to know you myself, not from what others say." "Hey." I tossed my hair and leaned in close to him, looking up directly into his eyes. "Sure, but don't blame me if you find it disgusting." We were so close that I could clearly hear the sound of his throat moving. For several days in a row, I didn't go home. Instead, I stayed in the studio, editing photos day and night. When life is filled with trivial tasks, there's no time to dwell on painful memories. Aside from my longing for love, I also have worldly ambitions making money. Xu Ying's friend request remained in my notifications. I neither accepted nor declined it. My parents asked about it, and I brushed them off with excuses. Even Xu Ying probably thought I was stringing him along, but that wasn't the case. I was just lazy, too lazy to deal with insignificant people, too lazy to create trouble in my life, too lazy to give Liang Yuan another reason to find amusement. On Friday, I had to go out to resolve an unresolved complaint. Stepping outside the building, I was momentarily dazzled by the long unseen sunlight, feeling as though I had been transported to another world. I waited in the cafe for an hour and a half, drinking 3 cups of coffee before the client finally arrived. "I'm very dissatisfied with your work," she said, leaning back in her chair, crossing her legs and launching a strong attack. Facing a potential source of income, I managed to keep my temper in check, even though she had already made me revise her photos 5 or 6 times. I took out my laptop, pulled up her photo album and asked politely and calmly, "In what way?" She pointed arrogantly. "Look at the edited photos. Do they even look like me?" I took a deep breath. She was the one who told me she wanted Daba's nose and Liu Yifei's eyes, but now she blamed me for not making it look like her. She was clearly taking me for a fool. Seeing my silence, she became even more aggressive, to the point where I felt she might throw her coffee in my face. "Do you want the photos to look good, or do you want them to look like you?" I turned my head and looked out the window at the bustling traffic. She cursed instantly. My expression turned cold as I looked at her. After all, I'm just a photographer, not a designer, right? When she threw the coffee, I had already mentally prepared to demand compensation. But I didn't expect a tall figure to step in front of me. "I have plenty of time. Do you want me to take you to court?" His tone was lazy, but the intimidating aura around him froze the atmosphere to zero. From childhood to adulthood, Liang Yan had protected me too many times. I liked him, largely because I admired his strength. I was aware of that. I remember in college, a girl scratched my face with a sharp cardboard box. Because she apologized immediately after hurting me, I was angry but felt too embarrassed to make a big deal out of it. It was Liang Yuan who casually remarked, "Shishan, if someone bullies you, you should fight back, not let them off so easily." With that, he took the cardboard box from the girl's hand and made a similar scratch on her face in the same spot. At first, I thought Liang Yuan was overreacting. It wasn't until later, when the girl's parents came to the school to demand justice, that I realized through the surveillance footage that she had intentionally hurt me. She was jealous that my work was always used as an example by the teacher. "You can be introverted and solitary, but you can't be weak and incompetent." Those words from Liang Yuan stayed with me for many years. This time, he effortlessly resolved my trouble again, even forcing the other party to apologize and pay the remaining fee. "No problem. This video of the tantrum won't be leaked. After all, we value our client's privacy," Liang Yuan said, lowering his head and casually wiping the coffee stains off his suit with the tissue. The smooth, elegant lines of his neck shimmered like jade in the sunlight. I forced myself to suppress the overwhelming emotions inside me, stood up and escorted the client out. As I passed Liang Yuan, he grabbed my arm. "You don't have to lower yourself like this." I smiled. Making money isn't shameful. This studio was a struggle for me and my partner to maintain. Without giving it our all, we couldn't keep our dreams alive. After seeing the client off, I went to the restroom but suddenly felt dizzy, my heart beating irregularly. If I hadn't grabbed the edge of the toilet in time, I would have collapsed on the spot. It dawned on me belatedly that I had forgotten to eat again today. I felt a wave of regret. I shouldn't have let this happen. No matter how tough life gets, I should take care of my body. The more I panicked, the more intense the dull ache in my chest became. My heart felt as if it couldn't bear the weight, each beat a struggle. In the last second before I lost consciousness, I heard someone call my name, frantic, helpless, and full of emotion. I slept deeply for a long time, trapped in repetitive, unpredictable dreams. The only constant was that cold, heartless figure, never turning back. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. By the sunlit window, there really was a figure with sharp shoulders and a tall, straight posture. The dream and reality overlapped, leaving me dazed. Liang Yuan? The figure stiffened for a moment before turning around. His expression was hidden in the shadows, making it impossible to discern his mood. But his voice seemed restrained. Awake? Are you feeling unwell anywhere? The last time we met, he also asked if I was feeling unwell. Should I delude myself into thinking he actually cares about me? Thinking this, I smiled self-deprecatingly and looked up at the 4-bag hanging by the bed, an unknown liquid slowly flowing into my body. I'm sorry to trouble you again. I'll manage better in the future. Why didn't you eat properly? He asked. No reason. I just never felt hungry, I replied lightly, trying to make those chaotic, confusing days sound trivial. Don't stay up late, eat well, and take care of your health. He turned around again. What followed was endless silence, both of us maintaining a distant, unspoken understanding. Finally, when it was time to be discharged, I rushed ahead as if escaping, leaving Liang Yuan far behind. But at some point, he gave up trying to keep up. When I turned back, he was already gone. I abruptly turned around and walked even faster, as if this could preserve a little more of my pride. While trying to hail a ride at the entrance, I unexpectedly ran into Xu Ying. Xishan. He opened the car door and walked toward me, his smile bright and dazzling in the brilliant sunlight. I instinctively glanced back. Did Liang Yuan call Xu Ying here? Was that why he left without a word? Uncle Yang said you were sick. Are you okay now? Xu Ying stood before me, his shadow shielding me from the scorching light, calming my mind a little. I'm fine, I smiled, staring directly at him. Xu Ying, I have little resistance to gentleness right now. You should stay away from me, or I might develop some inappropriate feelings for you, liking you but stringing you along. Apart from Liang Yuan, I truly lacked patience and gentleness toward other men. Unfortunately, this uniqueness was something he would never understand. Xu Ying lowered his head, meeting my gaze with sincerity and honesty. Today, I understand you a little better. I was taken aback, then laughed angrily. Suit yourself. If you're eager to be a backup, I won't stop you. With that, I walked past him. He called out to me, pulling a key from his pocket. You left this at the hotel last time. I never found the right moment to return it. I turned back and met a pair of hidden, ambiguous eyes. Liang Yuan stood 2 steps behind Xu Ying, hands in his pockets, chin slightly raised, with a faint, ambiguous smile. Instantly, my mouth went dry. I wanted to explain, but found no grounds to do so. What did the truth matter to him? How he thought? And whether I knew, what did it change? Xu Ying noticed my unease, turned around, and respectfully greeted the newcomer. Uncle Liang. Liang Yuan nodded faintly. Take good care of her. The doctor said her stomach condition is serious. I bit my lower lip, silent, unwilling to accept this gesture of entrusting my care to someone else. But Xu Ying replied earnestly, I will. Don't worry. A surge of nameless anger rose within me. I walked over, intimately linked arms with Xu Ying, and looked up at him. How will you take good care of me? Should I just go to your place? This was purely an impulsive, thoughtless remark, but I wanted to use this boundary-crossing, improper behavior to provoke Liang Yuan. Or perhaps to deceive myself. Maybe some things weren't beyond my reach, but simply things I didn't want. Xu Ying seemed a bit startled. A flush quickly spread from his neck to his ears. After swallowing a few times, he stammered, Yes, sure. I have a spare room at my place. My tone grew even more ambiguous. Given what's already happened between us, whether there's a spare room isn't really important, is it? Xu Ying blinked rapidly several times, his entire demeanor radiating helplessness. I provocatively looked at Liang Yuan, anticipating his reaction. But he simply walked briskly past me, strode over to the SUV, opened the door and said, "Xishan, I'll take you home." I fell silent for a moment, then took Xu Ying's hand and smiled sweetly. "No need, Uncle Liang. You can go back by yourself." With that, I led Xu Ying in the other direction and got into his car. Even after the door closed, Xu Ying seemed a bit dazed, as if pondering something complex. While adjusting my seat, I explained, "Don't be scared. I was just joking. I won't go to your place. Just take me back to the studio." Xu Ying glanced at me but didn't respond. The white car moved smoothly along the road, each brake applied just right, neither too abrupt nor too gentle. The interior was clean, much like him, and faintly carried a pleasant woody scent. I couldn't help but think that this boy was genuinely nice. I really didn't deserve him. At the very least, my car had never been this clean, and I drove aggressively. Whenever I encountered someone driving poorly, I'd curse a few times to feel better. During a red light, Xu Ying suddenly broke the silence. His voice was gentle, as if afraid of startling me. "You look pale. Is your stomach still hurting?" This attitude made me feel even more guilty. I had just used him, yet not only was he not angry, but he was still concerned about me. Sigh. After some hesitation, I decided it was best to cut things clean. After all, when dealing with someone who cares, the clearest rejection is the greatest kindness. "Xu Ying, there's someone I like. Thank you for your kindness." I looked at him earnestly. He smiled as if he already knew. "I know." I was taken aback. "It's Uncle Liang," he said. Now it was my turn to feel flustered, my face burning. By the time the car stopped, I still hadn't recovered from this awkwardness. But Xu Ying acted as if nothing had happened, naturally reminding me to get out. Looking at the unfamiliar parking lot, I was puzzled. Xu Ying smiled mischievously. "You said it yourself, you wanted to stay at my place and have me take care of you." What was up with this guy? I had rejected him clearly, and he knew everything. Why was he still doing this? "All right, I won't scare you anymore." In the car just now, your stomach kept rumbling. "Let me make you a light bowl of noodles. After you eat, I'll take you to work." He reached out and patted my head, his eyes filled with a triumphant smile. "You scared me once. Now we're even." I felt both annoyed and amused, but mostly grateful. Xu Ying's home had a large balcony. On the left side, many green plants thrived in the sunlight, exuding vitality. Beside them was a projector, and in the center stood an antique tea table with a full set of tea utensils. Every corner was clean and neatly organized. After a quick glance around, I felt too ashamed to sit still. How could a guy live so refined? In comparison, I was practically a slob, and my room could be called a pigsty. While lost in thought, a pure white long-haired cat suddenly dashed out from a corner and lunged to bite me. I screamed in fright, jumping aside but accidentally bumping into a fish tank, splashing water everywhere. Goldfish flopped on the floor. The white cat excitedly circled my feet, and I stood on tiptoe, hands raised, not daring to move. Xu Ying came out wearing an apron. Seeing this scene, he tried to stifle his laughter. "You're scared of cats?" Was it strange that I was scared of cats? Did I look like someone who could fight tigers in the mountains? "Get it away," I urged softly. He burst out laughing. Okay. Keep holding that surrender pose a bit longer." After putting the cat in a room and closing the door, he carefully cleaned up the broken pieces with a cloth. When I bent down to help, he stopped me. "Your skirt is wet. Why not change in the bathroom? I'll find you some clean clothes." I looked down at my skirt. The outline of my safety shorts was visible, which was indeed indecent. So I agreed and even took a shower. During those days of decadence, I hadn't washed my hair. When I looked in the mirror, my shame was awakened. I couldn't bear to stay in such a clean, tidy house with greasy hair. Maybe the cat was angry because I wasn't worthy of its home. Sigh. Even a cat looked down on me now. When I came out, I unexpectedly saw Liang Yuan. He was sitting upright on the sofa, his expression dark and cold. Without saying a word, he stared directly at me. Xu Ying, seemingly unaware of the tension in the air, naturally handed me a clean towel. "Dry your hair." "I'll get the hairdryer." I took it and smiled in thanks. But Liang Yuan suddenly stood up, strode over in 3 steps, grabbed my wrist, and half dragged me toward the door. Liang Yuan, what are you doing? I struggled continuously, but his grip on me didn't loosen in the slightest. Xu Ying followed behind, his gaze serious. As Liang Yuan was about to slam the door shut, Xu Ying suddenly blocked it. Uncle Liang, I'll only give you this one chance. Liang Yuan paused, turned back to look at Xu Ying, and suddenly smiled, as if in disdain, or perhaps as a warning. I hated this mysterious, all-controlling demeanor of his. I tried to shake off his hand, but he held me even tighter. The walk to the elevator felt like I was being dragged. In the confined space, he stood with his back to me, his shoulders rising and falling heavily. I knew he was restraining himself, but I wanted him to lose control, to see the real emotions hidden beneath his rationality. Liang Yuan, weren't you the one who wanted to set us up? What are you doing now? Jealous? I spoke each word slowly and deliberately. Liang Yuan had taught me that in negotiations, speaking pace could enhance one's presence. I never expected that one day I'd use this tactic against him. His hand, hanging by his side, clenched into a fist. He turned his head sharply, glaring at me. Xishan. He uttered my name with heavy emphasis. I was instantly intimidated. All that talk about speaking pace enhancing presence was nonsense. Because I liked him, he could easily control me. The rest of the journey was silent. Dejected, I followed him. He told me to get in the car, and I obediently did so. I tried to sit in the back, but he pulled me into the passenger seat and forcefully fastened my seatbelt. My freshly washed hair was still dripping water, soaking through the loose sweatpants Xu Ying had given me. Liang Yuan took off his coat and threw it at me, then turned on the car's heater. Dry yourself. His clothes were expensive. I shook my head, refusing. It'll dry soon. Liang Yuan frowned slightly, took the coat back, leaned over, and started drying my hair himself. Well, that suited his personality. No unnecessary words, straight to action. But had he forgotten he had a girlfriend? And that I had ulterior motives toward him? I pushed him away, leaning back against the car door to keep the maximum distance between us in the confined space. Uncle Liang, this isn't appropriate. I can't be as rational as you. You underestimate my desire for you. I swallowed the last few words, knowing how embarrassing they were. Turning to look out the window, I tried to hold back my tears. Liang Yuan didn't speak again. When he started driving, there was a heavy, perverse and violent temper about him. Several times, the navigation warned him about speeding. The scenery outside the window receded rapidly. After a few turns, the surroundings became familiar. Was this the way to Liang Yuan's home? My heart raced in my chest, my mind in turmoil. I didn't know whether I should ask. The car stopped at the entrance of the residential complex. Liang Yuan tossed me a set of keys. Go up first. Remember to dry your hair. I'm going to the supermarket. I stared at him dumbly, not daring to move. To your place? Your room is untouched. I'll take care of you for the next couple of days. He held the steering wheel, looking straight ahead, his expression as indifferent as ever. It almost made me suspect he was merely fulfilling an unavoidable duty. In the past, to make discussing work more convenient, he had prepared a guest room for me. After he stopped being a photographer, I had no reason to stay there anymore. Had he really kept it? Why? I needed a clear answer. Otherwise, I'd go crazy. He remained silent. I decided to pull his arm, wanting him to look at me. But as soon as I touched him, he reacted as if burned, sharply shaking me off. Looking at me, his Adam's apple bobbed several times before he spoke, with a hint of coaxing in his tone. Be good. I nearly gave in, but thankfully reminded myself of the stakes in time. Liang Yuan. Why? Why did you reject me but still approach me? Why do you have a girlfriend but still flirt with me? The afternoon light streamed through the car window, blurring his expression. I heard him sigh softly. After a long pause, he said in a low voice, Just 2 days. In 2 days I'll give you an answer. Without any hesitation, I refused. 9 years had already consumed too much of my energy. I couldn't wait another 2 days. Besides, he had a girlfriend. What could I possibly be waiting for? A shameful, ambiguous relationship. Liang Yuan, my feelings for you may not be accepted. but they shouldn't be toyed with. Whatever your reason for wanting to take care of me, as you are now, you have no right. With that, I quickly got out of the car, afraid that if I stayed another second, something might happen to shake my resolve and shatter my reason. For many years afterward, I would regret it. If only I had considered why Liang Yuan was so insistent on keeping me then, perhaps things between us could have been more perfect. Still not having eaten, I was starving. After taking a taxi to the studio, I grabbed a quick meal downstairs and prepared to go back to work. Unexpectedly, my business partner was waiting at the door, blocking my way. Senior instructed that you should rest properly during this time. You were hospitalized from exhaustion. If you keep this up, I might have to help you pay off your Wabai debt. He looked miserable and refused to budge. Since I couldn't stay at the studio and didn't want my parents to see me in this wretched state, I spontaneously bought a plane ticket, packed my camera, and decided to go on a photography trip. Wasn't pain said to be the root of creation? If I could produce good work, then at least my suffering would be worth something. I shared this reasoning with my partner, and he laughed heartily. We're artists. Talking about money is so vulgar. But didn't your senior also go from being an artist to a vulgar businessman? I replied with a teasing smile, a pang of pain in my heart. Impromptu trips were common in my line of work, so my parents didn't think much of it. They probably didn't even realize how much Liang Yuan's actions had affected me. Early the next morning, I packed my bags and headed to the airport. Everything went smoothly until, just before the plane took off, I received a WeChat message from Liang Yuan. Abandoning a lifelong passion is because what I encountered later was even more beloved. He withdrew it in less than 2 seconds. Staring at the chat window, my mind suddenly buzzed, my blood is boiling. I wanted to rush off the plane, but it was too late. The flight attendant was explaining something to me, but I couldn't hear her. Tears inexplicably streamed down my face. That sentence, was that his answer? When the plane landed, it was already late at night. After checking all return options, the fastest one still required an 8-hour wait. Sitting on a chair in the airport, I kept replaying Liang Yuan's sent and unsent words in my mind. Various thoughts flashed through my head. The back-and-forth self-questioning tugged at my emotions, making me break out in a cold sweat for no reason. I even morbidly felt that everyone passing by was looking at me with sympathy and pity. The wait made time stretch endlessly. I wanted an outlet, and just then, Xu Ying sent another friend request. It seemed that he was indeed the only one I could openly discuss this complicated situation with. We were similar in age, and he was the only outsider who knew about my feelings. But was he really an outsider? Before I could think it through, my emotions took over, and I accepted his friend request. Still awake? I cautiously probed in our first chat. Yes. I heard you went on a trip. I've been there before. If you need any help, let me know. His warmth came through the small screen, making me feel deeply ashamed for having ulterior motives. Seeing my delayed response, Xu Ying sent a voice message, his voice magnetism and gentle. Have you been eating properly? While traveling, you must take good care of your health. In the end, my rationality was overpowered by my emotions. Like someone lost in a fog, desperately seeking help, I grasped at even the faintest hope. Liang Yuan probably likes me. Abandoning a lifelong passion is because what I encountered later was even more beloved. Xu Ying, that's what he meant, right? I kept asking him, hoping for confirmation. But what would confirmation change? I didn't know. I hated my indecisive, capricious self. I despised the meanness and possessiveness in my bones. Xu Ying suddenly went silent. I kept turning my phone on and off, unsure what I even wanted. After about 50 minutes, another message finally arrived. It was from Xu Ying. Liang Yuan is getting married. That message was sent to the wrong person. It was meant for his girlfriend. It's laughable, but my first reaction was to ask why he used Liang's full name. Weren't you very respectful of him before? Xu Ying didn't answer that. Instead, he pointedly revealed the truth I didn't want to acknowledge. He's getting married, Qishan. He just said so at the dinner table. He also said that if you need a separate invitation, he can write one for you. Were Liang Yuan and Xu Ying at the same dinner table? That sliver of hope I had clung to like a lifeline was shattered so easily, like a joke. Did he think he was being cruel? Lost in thought, my dad suddenly sent me a video. In the video, Liang Yuan sat at the head of the table. On one side were Xu Ying's parents and Xu Ying, and on the other were my dad and mom. Everyone looked tipsy and cheerful. My dad even had his arm around my mom's shoulder, waving at the camera. Your uncle Liang is getting married soon. You and Xu Ying should hurry up too. I already called his parents-in-laws today. A server behind the camera flattered them. You two are so happy. Your daughter will surely be just as happy. I stared at my phone, letting the video replay over and over. Everything was a joke. How could Liang Yuan so easily turn my world upside down? How did I let myself become so spineless? I realized that at times like this, I was mostly angry at myself, disappointed in myself. I don't know how much time passed before I regained a bit of clarity. My phone showed 3 missed calls from a few minutes ago, all from Xu Ying. I didn't have the energy to speak. I turned off my phone, rested for another 10 minutes, then stood up and hurriedly left the airport. I slept like the dead in a hotel for 2 days. When I finally went outside, the bright sunlight shining on my face made me feel dizzy, as if transported to another world. My phone, which had been off the whole time, now showed over a dozen missed calls and dozens of WeChat messages. Most were from one person, Xu Ying. One message was adapted from a lyric by Eason Chan. I'll accompany you as your reflections along the way become answers. Accompany you as your solitary loneliness turns into bravery. Through losses and restarts, I won't leave. Companionship is the longest confession of love. As for Liang Yuan, he only sent one bland care message. Take care while traveling. This time, I didn't play games like deleting or blocking. I simply changed his remark from my mentor to Liang Yuan and unpinned it. After doing this, I went back to Xu Ying's chat window, typed out a long message, deleted it, edited it several times, and finally just sent, "Thank you." That was all I could respond with. After buying some hiking gear at a mall, I received a call from my dad just as I stepped out. Shishan, I don't care if you and Xu Ying are dating or not, but now Xu Ying has come all this way to find you. You can't just ignore him. He came to find me. Why? I was surprised. My rhetorical question caught him off guard. He didn't tell you. What's with you young people being so awkward? You're not kids anymore. Men should marry. Women should wed. Be more efficient. Do we elders have to worry about you forever? By the time he finished urging me to get married, my patience was long gone. After hanging up, I immediately called Xu Ying on video. He answered shortly after. On his end, he seemed to be in a tea house, surrounded by quiet. He wore a grey hoodie, his bangs slightly messy, shadows casting over his eyes. He looked completely relaxed. Hey, having fun? He tilted his head with a smile, exuding a youthful vibe. Not bad. You? I replied. I'm good. Have you been eating properly? He was incredibly patient, as if he would never tell me he came unless I brought it up. My expression turned cold as I stared at him. He noticed something was off and sat up straight. Did something happen? Why did you come here to find me? I accused. His acting without authorization felt like he was creating trouble for me. After a moment of silence, his tone suddenly became very serious. I didn't mean to bother you. I just wanted to be closer in case you needed me. I felt like I'd punched cotton. Xu Ying really didn't mean to disturb me. He stayed far away, didn't ask about my travel plans, and seemed content just being in the same city. In the taxi on the way to see him, I suddenly understood something. Giving your sincerity to the wrong person not only yields no response, but also makes you look like a troublemaker. So that's how foolish I had been in front of Liang Yuan for all those years. Maybe those who have been through rain know how to hold an umbrella for others. When I saw Xu Ying, I held back my complaint about the 2-hour journey and simply asked, "Didn't you check the weather before coming? The temperature difference between day and night here is huge. You're wearing too little." He scratched his head, showing a rare naivety. Forgot. I pretended to sigh. Young people, don't have your head full of lovey-dovey stuff. I immediately regretted saying that. It was something Liang Yuan had once told me. Xu Ying's ears turned slightly red. He coughed unnaturally. I'm usually quite what? I looked at him curiously, waiting for him to continue. But his face grew redder and redder. After a long pause, he forced out 2 words. Mature. I couldn't help but laugh. After randomly picking a local small restaurant for dinner, I wandered around with my camera, telling Xu Ying to take my things back to the hotel first. As I passed an alley with a small bridge and flowing water, a drunk man suddenly stumbled toward me, cursing under his breath. I immediately held my camera tightly, steadied my stance, and prepared to defend myself. But before I could do anything, Xu Ying rushed over with all my bags, blocking my way. What do you think you're doing? I wasn't hurt by the drunk, but I nearly stumbled into the ditch from the impact of the bags on Xu Ying's back. Wasn't this guy supposed to be mature? How did he think he was usually mature? The drunk man grumbled and turned away. Xu Ying turned back with a relieved smile. I chased him away. Well, aren't you amazing? I forced a bitter smile in response. You should let me come with you. It's too late now. The moment I can't see you, my mind fills with social news. For the rest of the walk, Xu Ying followed closely, beaming with joy. Even a random click of my shutter prompted him to find words to praise my work. His eyes filled with undisguised admiration. It was like bringing a little fan along. After taking a photo of a cat under a streetlight, I showed it to Xu Ying. How are you going to praise this one? The overall color tone is harmonious. You made this little cat look especially domineering, he said seriously. I sighed and put away my camera. The composition is clearly off. You're just being an unthinking fan. He grinned. I just think every photo you take has a special feeling. He really liked using the word special. All right, I admit. It was particularly satisfying. Back when I followed Liang Yuan, I played the role of the brainless fans. Now it was my turn to enjoy the flattery. And it felt really comfortable. We wandered aimlessly for a long time. By the time we returned to the hotel, Xu Ying still seemed full of energy. I thought he was genuinely happy and excited until he put down his backpack. As his collar shifted slightly from the shoulder strap, I saw a patch of raw skin on his fair shoulder, where it had been chafed. Only then did I realize the journey hadn't been easy for him. Swallowing the words I wanted to say, I continued pretending not to know and smiled. Xu Ying, I'm tired. You should go back to your room and rest early too. Xu Ying carefully inspected the hotel surroundings before leaving. Once he was gone, I completely wilted. Receiving someone else's deep affection turned out to produce such a huge sense of guilt. Thinking about it, I even felt a bit of sympathy for Liang Yuan. Poor guy, troubled by my cluelessness for so many years. At least now I understood. Early the next morning, I woke up very early. After getting ready, I planned to knock on Xu Ying's door. But as I approached, I heard Liang Yuan's voice. She's very prone to mosquitoes' bites. Buy plenty of mosquito repellent products before going up the mountain. Remember to remind her to drink more water. Bring some candy and have her eat one occasionally lychee flavor. Also, pack some biscuits. When she's taking photos, don't disturb her. Stay away. And remember to praise her after she's done. Blood rushed to my head. I wanted to charge in and tear these 2 bastard men apart. What were they playing at? Treating me like a fool? I knocked on the door forcefully 3 times. Instantly, all sound inside ceased. A few seconds later, Xu Ying asked in a sleepy voice, "Who is it?" Open the door. My patience was gone. I knocked a few more times. Now, right away, immediately. After some rustling sounds, Xu Ying came close to the door, sounding pitiful. I haven't washed up yet. And my clothes aren't. What kind of excuse was that? I lowered my voice and snapped. Is it that you're not dressed, or is Liang Yuan not dressed? I didn't know what they were stalling for. After another 2 minutes, the door finally opened. Xu Ying stood straight against the wall like a child waiting to be scolded. Liang Yuan sat at the foot of the bed, legs apart, smoking. Rising white smoke lingers around his face, making him look deep and indifferent. His tie hung loosely around his neck, adding a touch of hostility. I silently take back my gaze, forcing myself not to focus on him too much. Weren't you 2 chatting away just now? Why are you both mute now? The atmosphere was suppressed. I dared only to pick on the soft persimmon, glaring at Xu Ying. Talk. He looked at me pitifully, offering an ingratiating smile. Shan Shen, don't be angry. I was truly bullying the weak and fearing the strong. His cowardice made me even tougher. I said sarcastically. Oh. Am I angry? How dare I be angry with you? Don't you have a military counselor? With him teaching you a few tricks, can't you easily win me over? Xu Ying subtly signaled Liang Yuan for help. But Liang Yuan showed no loyalty, concentrate smoking. I laughed in anger and turned to leave. A hand suddenly grabbed my wrist. I looked back to see Liang Yuan standing up with oppressive nature presence, slightly frowning. I'm here on a business trip. Drop by and take a look. He glanced at Xu Ying. Xu Ying. Oh. Here to see Xu Ying. He really was a busy man rejecting me, introducing me to someone, and then spare no effort teaching that person how to interact with me. Liang Yuan, you don't have to deliberately guard against me like this. Afraid I'm still not giving up. I'm not a love brain. I was just suddenly stubborn, wanting to hit the south wall. Now I've hit it and understood. Do you get it? I forcefully pulled back my hand, my tone unceremonious. He was slightly stunned and actually smiled. This made me feel he was laugh at me, so I threw out even harsher words. You're getting on in years too. Do something serious. You don't even have a child. Back in our hometown, people would wonder if there's something wrong with you. His smile faded. His gaze suddenly darkened, but his tone was casual. Yeah, I am getting old. Xu Ying probably wanted to smooth things over. He gently tugged my sleeve. Weren't we going up the mountain to take photos today? Should we set off? You're too delicate to endure this kind of hardship with me. I refused coldly. Carrying my big bag and camera, I walked out of the hotel. Liang Yuan followed, quickly passing me and getting into a black business vehicle. Watching the car speed away, I had a belly full of national essence I wanted to shout. Uncle Liang is worried I might not treat you well, or perhaps he doesn't know how to treat you well himself. A voice suddenly came from behind. I didn't bother to look back and said sarcastically, whether I'm well or not is none of his damn business. At his age, doesn't he know what he should and shouldn't do? I was constantly reminding myself that there was no future with him. Why did he have to appear and do things that are thought-provoking? Xu Ying didn't respond. I couldn't see his expression, didn't know if he agreed. I was also a bit curious. His attitude toward another man could reveal his three outlooks in relationships. Actually, my intuition was that Xu Ying was quite innocent. His views on love should be simple too. Forget it. Forget it. I'll just let go of both. It's not like they're the only two men in the world. The more I thought, the more upset I felt. I directly hailed a taxi and left without looking back. I've always preferred natural scenery in remote places, rarely taking routes developed for tourism. Though the journey is more arduous and dangerous, it's also more interesting. Walking and stopping along the way, I reached the mountaintop just as dusk settled. The orange sunset tints everything, mountains, rivers, lakes, and seas with tenderness and affection. The tiger-spotted rosy clouds are beautiful, and the sounds of the forest and the rhythm of the springs are harmonious. Immersed in this, like a dream, I jumped around with my camera, having a great time taking photos. Only when the red sun was dragged down below the horizon, and the last rays of the rosy clouds faded away, did I stop and pack up my luggage to return. Walking down the mountain at night was even more dangerous than going up. Saying I wasn't scared would be showing off. With the flashlight's light, I took each step cautiously. As I approached the mountain-winding road near the halfway up the mountain, I saw a black off-road vehicle with its hazard lights flashing. It seemed to be playing gentle music inside. My heart leaped to my throat. Was I stumbling upon some crime scene in the middle of the night? It's me. The car window slowly rolled down, and someone leaned out to call. The night blurred his outline. Liang Yuan? I wondered. He let out a opened the door and strode towards me, taking all my luggage without asking. I stretched my stiff and aching limbs and followed him. How did you find me? Only after getting in the car did he reply. I know what you want to shoot. Then why didn't you climb up to find me? I asked again. I'm too old. Can't climb anymore. He was direct, without the slightest embarrassment. Then he skillfully operated the gear shift to start the car. His jawline tight, his expression focused. I suddenly remembered when he urged me to learn to drive. When I asked whether to learn manual transmission or automatic transmission, he said, if you want to enjoy driving, learn manual transmission. The sense of control is great. Can I not learn? Can't I just sit in your passenger seat? I tentatively asked in a coquettish manner. He replied, holding the steering wheel, you can go wherever you want. Why rely on others? Thinking back carefully, he had really rejected me many times. I just hadn't wanted to admit it. Liang Yuan, have you always seen me as a daughter? I truly didn't know how to interpret his being alternately close and distant, hot and cold. I could only probe randomly and convince myself. Liang Yuan let out a soft laugh, his tone unusually doting. Endless worries. Life is really unpredictable, just like the large intestine wrapping the small intestine. I saw him as my male god, but he wanted to be my father. Weren't you the one matchmaking me and Xu Ying? Why not let Xu Ying come pick me up? I asked again. His driving skills aren't up to my standards. He turned the steering wheel, navigating a sharp turn, then glanced at me sideways. If you don't like this type, forget it. I'll pick a few others for you. He made it sound like he was filling my harem. Liang Yuan, actually I've considered a very scheming possibility. You Riso, take the trouble to matchmake me and Xu Ying to draw the Xu and Shi families closer and exchange resources. I smiled casually, but out of the corner of my eye, I was secretly observing him. Then you shouldn't have asked if I see you as a daughter. You should have directly asked if I'm using you. A little smile appeared on his cheeks. It's good for girls to understand a bit of scheming. Next time, be more composed. Don't say such heartfelt words in person. His attitude left me puzzled. What was he happy about? You're not really using me, are you? He squinted at me. You guess? I reclined the seat and simply pretended to sleep. Forget it. It doesn't matter. I'm also a bit tired. It was an hour and a half later when we returned to the urban area. Xu Ying was waiting in the hotel lobby, looking anxious. The moment he saw our car, he came forward to meet. But he wasn't there to care about me. Instead, he went to help Liang Yuan out of the car, asking softly if he was tired. For a moment, I didn't know whether to praise him for respecting the elderly and loving the young or being kind-hearted. Are you tired? Only after I got out did Xu Ying come to my side. His eyes were a little red. I vaguely felt that something was wrong. After putting things away, Liang Yuan suddenly suggested going to a food stall for drinks. My inner unease grew stronger. I knew Liang Yuan. He rarely acted on impulse. He was someone who cherished his energy and emotions. Did something happen to you? I asked. He let out a lazy chuckle. Just getting married. Feeling quite a lot of emotions. The food stall was bustling and noisy, full of lively energy. The three of us chose a small table at the very back to sit down. At first, everyone was quiet, but after a few drinks, the atmosphere livened up. Liang Yuan watched Xu Ying down every drink in one go, his eyes showing a hint of admiration. He looked at me and said, Xu Ying suits you well. I paused mid-bite of my skewer. My parents said the same thing, and I agreed with that fact myself. I leaned toward adventure. He leans toward stability. We complement each other well. But the hard part is the attraction. Compatibility isn't the same as love, and vice versa. But many people think compatibility is more important than love. Like Liang Yuan and my parents, for example. Liang Yuan downed another glass of wine, his eyes startlingly bright, his whole spirit seeming much younger. My thoughts are selfish. I just hope you'll always be the one who is pampered, in any kind of relationship. I was slightly taken aback. Liang Yuan, have you had too much to drink? Liang Yuan looked at Xu Ying, raised his glass high. Do you understand what I mean? Xu Ying smiled and clinked glasses with him. I like her. I'm willing to always accommodate her, to make her the center. Liang Yuan lowered his gaze, lost in thought. After that, he drank alone, glass after glass, as if trying to force himself to get drunk. I didn't want to overstep and talk about anything personal with him, afraid of creating misunderstandings, so I simply watched coldly from the side. Xu Ying, though, silently kept him company, drinking alongside him. By the time we finished drinking, it was past 1 a.m. Liang Yuan had arranged for a driver without anyone noticing. When we went outside, the car was already waiting at the door. Leaning against the car door, swaying unsteadily, he moved closer to me and said in a low voice, You should be selfish too. Make him love you more. I have a lot I want to say, but I can't. He blinked, his eyelashes fluttering, suddenly showing a fragile side. I'm an elder. I couldn't sleep all night, tossing and turning, thinking only of Liang Yuan. He was coaching Xu Ying on how to get along with me, while also telling me to be selfish and make Xu Ying love me more. Even though he was about to get married himself, he was still spending energy on my matters. What was he really thinking? I kept replaying the past until 10 a.m., when sunlight spilled through the gaps in the curtains, dust dancing in the light. Xu Ying came knocking, saying he'd brought me breakfast. Do you really understand what Liang Yuan meant? I asked, pretending to be casual as I ate my pork and preserved egg congee. Xu Ying had been looking at the photos I took yesterday, but stopped at my question. Yeah, always prioritize your feelings. Are you dumb? He's teaching you to be a simp, I said, getting anxious. How had Liang Yuan brainwashed him? Xu Ying blinked, forcing a smile. I know. This conversation was going nowhere. For the rest of the trip, I insisted on traveling alone and told Xu Ying to go back first. I also asked him to give me a 5-star review if my dad asked. Your dad is most concerned about whether we're dating or not. Xu Ying immediately seized the opportunity, looking at me with hopeful eyes. Of course, I turned and walked away with my backpack. We're not. Suddenly, Xu Ying caught up, grabbed my wrist, and pulled me forcefully into his arms. He buried his head in the back of my neck, so I couldn't see his expression. I could only hear his hurried breathing. After a long moment, he said, Shanchen, come home soon. I patted his back. Okay. Maybe subconsciously. I wanted to wait until Liang Yuan got married before going back to face things, which is why I kept finding excuses to delay my return. But unexpectedly, no one pressured me to come back. My business partner. It's fine, take a paid vacation. Worst case, I'll just eat plain congee for 2 more years. My parents. Life is much more comfortable without you home. Anyway, you're spending your own money, so stay as long as you like. Just don't forget to bring me a gift. Xu Ying, the photos you took on your trip are amazing. Someone like you was born to be on the road. At first, I didn't think anything of it. But gradually, I realized that every time we chatted, I was making excuses not to go back. And they were making excuses not to have me back. Was something going on? I asked many people but got no answers. Finally, I tested Xu Ying, the one with the weakest defenses. Has anything big happened recently? Xu Ying. Yes. My heart tightened. So it was true. My cat is in heat. Xu Ying sent a photo of a white cat curled up in his arms, acting cute. I patiently pressed on. Besides that? And he deliberately paused for effect. A minute later, he sent a photo of calligraphy in slender gold style, reading, I miss you. Well, I couldn't get anything out of him. He'd leveled up to magical attacks. After thinking it over, I decided to head back and find out what was going on. As soon as my plane landed, I went straight home, but the house was empty. Judging by the dust on the furniture and the leftovers in the fridge that had clearly been there for days, they either hadn't been home in a while, or had been busy with something important. I called my parents to ask where they were, but they hesitated and wouldn't say. My unease grew instantly, my mind racing through various scenarios. I turned on the car's GPS tracking and found they were at Liang Yuan's house. So that's why they were so hesitant, because they were at Liang Yuan's place. My dad was overthinking it. I'd already accepted that unrequited feelings were a common part of relationships. I relaxed, went to the kitchen to make myself a bowl of instant noodles, ate, and then buried myself under the covers and fell asleep. I slept deeply, waking up near afternoon. My parents were sitting stiffly in the living room. When they saw me, their expressions shifted, and their eyes turned red. My mom took my hand. Did you enjoy your trip this time? Our mother-daughter moment lasted less than 3 seconds before my dad broke the mood. It's time to come back. We can't keep Xu Ying waiting forever. You're standing up for their son now. What about feeling sorry for your own daughter? I complained, frowning. But my dad's tone suddenly turned heavy with grief. He looked at me deeply. This was also Liang Yuan's last wish. What does Liang Yuan have to do with? I stopped abruptly, my eyes widening, only to see my mom covering her face, crying, and my dad turning away. Last wish? How could it be a last wish? Liang Yuan was diagnosed with late-stage liver cancer while I was away. At first, he didn't want surgery, planning to live out his few months freely. But for some reason, after a business trip, he changed his mind and decided to undergo surgery for a chance. He died on the operating table 5 days ago. My dad explained it in a few sentences, then shut himself in his room. He said Liang Yuan had delayed this day for a long time, and he didn't want to keep acting and lying to me. Better to endure short, sharp pain than prolonged suffering. I had to deal with it myself. My mum patted my hand. Your dad arranged Liang Yuan's funeral. Those 2 men were most worried about you. I was trembling all over, unable to think or speak. I just stared blankly at my mom's moving lips, feeling as if the world were spinning. I don't know how much time passed, but suddenly, someone else appeared in the room. He looked at me, his eyes full of pain. I'm sorry, Shanshan. I suddenly remembered the last time we parted. He told me in the same tone to come home soon. Snapping back to reality, I rushed over, grabbed his collar and yelled, You knew all along, didn't you? He didn't flinch, meeting my gaze head on. Yes. How long? I blinked, hoping the heavy fog in my vision would clear. The day you accepted my friend request. As soon as he finished, I pointed at the door and told him to get out. He knew how I felt about Liang Yuan. Why did he hide it from me for so long? Why did he watch as Liang Yuan and I were separated by life and death? I thought he was a friend I could trust. His Adam's apple bobbed twice. He gently wrapped his arms around me, held me for a moment, then quickly let go and stepped back. Shanshan, I promised Uncle Yang I'd be here whenever you need me, anytime, anywhere. This was why Liang Yuan had always tried to set us up. In this relationship, he truly played an active and steadfast role. My mom looked pained, as if she wanted to defend Xu Ying. I stared at her in alarm, shaking my head repeatedly. She took a step forward, and I took a step back, afraid she'd say that name, utter that cold, cruel truth. I didn't want to analyze right and wrong at that moment. I didn't want to ponder life's truths at that moment. In the face of overwhelming grief, everything else felt superfluous. Every comfort hollow. Suddenly, I really wanted to sleep. I couldn't tell if I was tired or exhausted, but I just wanted to lie in bed, close my eyes, and not move. For a long time after that, I spent my days lying in Liang Yuan's apartment, drifting in a haze, indifferent to day or night. He had transferred all his assets to me. His previous girlfriend was indeed fake. She was actually his assistant. When handling the inheritance, I met her once. She told me, given Mr. Liang's status with no heirs, he should have donated his wealth to earn posthumous respect. But he said that in this world, he only wanted to favor you. I looked at her dazed. Did he love me? She said calmly. He didn't leave an answer. He never once mentioned whether he loved me. Yet everything hinted at love, but without a final answer. How cruel. Wait, that retracted message. Throwing away a lifetime of passion because I met someone I loved more later. That was his answer, right? She also told me that Liang Yuan had asked everyone to hide his illness from me because he was afraid I'd act impulsively, insisting on staying by his side to care for him, or even conspire with others to push me away with a fake marriage. She said that right before the surgery, Liang Yuan was still reminding my parents to keep it a secret no matter the outcome. Don't tell me. Gritting my teeth, I cried and laughed. Yeah. Everything has to be under his control. That's just like him. I used to love how Liang Yuan led the way, making decisions for me in everything. But at that moment I felt a sharp surge of hatred. Why was he so determined, not even giving me a chance to confess? Why did he suffer so much, yet still painstakingly plan for me? All I wanted was simple, direct love. Couldn't I just not weigh pros and cons? Not calculate gains and losses? Not consider gossip? Not care about secular? Maybe someone like me, who hasn't suffered much and has lived smoothly, really could rely on sheer courage and live on love alone. But Liang Yuan, who lost his parents young and grew up shifting between orphanages, couldn't. He understood all too well what price recklessness could exact. He loved adventure, but he didn't want to drag me into danger. So he carefully selected Xu Ying and brought him to me, hoping to give me wealth, stability, and harmonious relationships. On my 28th birthday, Xu Ying proposed to me. Looking at the sincere, unwavering love in his eyes, I refused. Apart from you treating me well, I can't find any other reason to be with you. Truthfully, I thought countless times about being with Xu Ying. He'd love me more. I'd love him less. Such a relationship felt safe for me. But I couldn't convince myself. I didn't need a stable, secular relationship. I could go solo, free as the wind, just like Liang Yuan in his life. Be a wildflower, be a rose, live fully in the moment. Xu Ying closed the ring box, slowly stood up, his eyes shimmering. It's okay. I still have plenty of patience. I didn't dare look at him. Sitting by the window, I hugged the cake and dug in with my hands, making a mess, smearing sweet cream all over my face and clothes. The pale blue glass in front of me reflected my rough, barbaric appearance and Xu Ying's tall, straight posture, like a young poplar tree. Shanshan, you always thought something happened the first time we met, but it didn't. That day, Uncle Liang asked me to come to the hotel to take care of you. You were drunk, hugging the toilet, calling it your family heirloom. It was really cute. He spoke suddenly. I paused for a moment, then continued shoving cake into my mouth. But that wasn't the first time I knew you. Long before that, I'd seen you in Uncle Liang's photos. It was only later I realized that the camera holds emotions. Someone who could photograph you so beautifully must have loved you deeply. Xu Ying said that after Liang Yuan gave up photography, he only ever photographed me. He had a small dark room filled with photos of me and photos I'd taken. I had a series called Looking Up that Xu Ying said he loved. Even though it was all photos of Liang Yuan's back, there was one where the back view was also in it. I slowed down eating the cake. Tears mixed with cream streamed into my mouth, tasting strange. Those photos. Before I could finish, Xu Ying chuckled hoarsely. Uncle Liang told me to burn them. He said they could harm your reputation. I turned stiffly to look at him. Then tell me, was he innocent? Xu Ying reached out, gently wiping the cream from the corner of my mouth with his soft fingers. Not entirely. 2 simple words shattered all my defenses. I'd never cried so freely, released so completely. Xu Ying silently stepped back, giving me a private, safe space. I was grateful to him for confirming an answer that would never have one, ending my long suspicion and doubts. 6 months later, I donated all the assets Liang Yuan left me in his name, and went to teach in impoverished mountainous areas, carrying my camera with me. This was something Liang Yuan had also done when he was young. That Xu Ying would quit his job and follow me was something I hadn't expected. Watching the man with a suntanned complexion playing Eagle Catches Chicks with the kids on the other side of the playground, I suddenly felt sunlight streaming directly into my heart from somewhere. When I looked up again, the clear, washed sky seemed to have clouds gathering into the shape of Liang Yuan, and the wind brushing my ears carried a tender whisper. Don't rush. Time will give the answers. The end.